Becky, don't lie to me. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Metal Remains Backstage. This is Manuel from Madrid. We have my friend Carlos in New York. And joining us from the birthplace of metal, Birmingham, we have Becky Baldwin from Fury and Mercyful Fate.
Hello.
Hi, Becky. How are you?
Doing good, thanks. How are you guys?
We're great.
We're doing great. We're very happy to have you
in our show, and thank you for this time that you're taking for this. As always, we like to start our conversations by asking, what have you been listening to lately?
I guess a lot of, a variety of stuff. Like, I've just been on tour in the US with an artist called Delilah Bon, and so she has a very different style of music, and so her the kind of stuff that she puts on quite different, more new metal and stuff like that. So recently on the tour, I've been listening to a lot of that, but personally, when I take a bit of time and put my headphones in, it's mostly a lot of thrash metal recently. Creator and Testament just dropped a new single, so I've been checking that out, and that's really cool. So yeah, like a lot of like 90s thrash, to be honest.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing that. And that was one of our questions, how that tour went, because you were collaborating with this act and you were doing some tours through the US. Can you tell us a little bit how that went?
It was fantastic. Like, that was the first time that Delilah Bon has toured in the US. So we weren't really sure what to expect from the crowds. I did about 4 shows in Europe with her before we did this, and I've played in her previous project called Hands Off Gretel. So we've toured the UK together loads and Europe a little bit as well, but this was a completely different project, and it's much newer. And we weren't really sure how the crowds were going to be. We knew that the tickets were selling really well. We had a bunch of sold out dates already. So we knew that like it was going to be popular, but we were a little bit worried about, I don't know, just people finding themselves at this gig, not really knowing and expecting what they got. But everyone who went had a great time. And they were totally behind the message, and they got what we were doing. So the set is quite different to what I've done before. So a lot of the music is on a backing track because it's more hip hop and new metal inspired. So there's all other sounds that are like kind of non-traditional instrument sounds. So to add the bass to that mix, it was a very different experience for me. I don't think I've really done any gigs without a guitarist, like unless, you know, other than gigs with like a piano, like kind of jazz and that kind of thing. Right. So I've never done this kind of heavy, because it's still heavy, but it's a completely different approach for me. But it was a lot of fun, and there's still so much for me that I think crosses over with the metal stuff that I love. So we had a great time, and the audience were amazing. They were all just so kind to us, bringing us like gifts and talking to us about like their story and how they discovered the band and their experiences. And yeah, like we had a fantastic time on tour.
Becky, Don't Lie to Me is the latest single from Fury, ahead of release of your 5th album, Interceptor, which comes out on September 5th. Which song from the album makes you the most excited that fans will hear when it comes out?
I'm excited for 2 in particular. I think my favorite one is a song called DTR. That's very like 80s, very upbeat and fun. It's, yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. I'm interested to hear how people feel about that.
Well, I want to point out that at this moment, we haven't been able to listen to the full album. We've been enjoying some of the singles so far, but I hope by the time the interview gets published, we, of course, have been able to enjoy it ourselves.
Yeah. Hopefully you enjoy the full scope of the album, because there's a lot of different styles mixed in there. So the other one I'm excited about is it's called Walk Away, and that's more ballady. It's almost got a kind of country kind of feel to it, which is completely different to what we've done before. We've done some ballads before, but never in this kind of guitar style. But I think the song is written really well, and we played it live a few times, and people have received it very well. So I'm interested to hear what people think about that song, because it's one of my favorites, actually.
Awesome. That sounds very interesting. And we love the fact that the band Fury has a very interesting mix between like rock and roll, heavy metal,
some thrash
here and there. There is even some, southern rock there, and blues, which makes the mix very, very interesting. So we're excited about the new album. And Becky, for each single, a video has been released. The most recent being Don't Lie to Me, which was filmed outdoors. Can you tell us how that filming session went?
We filmed these videos so long ago, it's hard to remember like when it was and like what order it all went in. But yeah, it was under there's like an underpass in Birmingham, and we just set up there. We managed to get, how did we set up the drums? I'm trying to remember how we managed to sync it up. I think our drummer has some like the track in his ears, and we all just had to play along to him. But yeah, it was fun doing it out in the open, in the public, because a lot of people were just passing through on their way to work or on their way somewhere. And we wanted that kind of like urban, kind of rough like feel to it. So there were times, people would come up to us and be very confused about what's going on, because it's not the kind of place people.
Why are these people shape-shifting?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there were some very impressive effects doing that, and then we did some more filming in another location for all the to get some of the fans. It was great to involve the fans as well. That was another thing that's a bit unique with that. We haven't often been able to draft like actual fans in to get involved, but we wanted to, convey like the message of a larger group of people, and so yeah, we kind of put the message out and said we need someone. We need as many people as possible, really, to come to Birmingham on this day and, shout something. And they'd never heard the song before. I did send it to them, and I was like, "This is the song. This is the message. These are the lyrics. If you don't like
do
it,
your
don't
homework.
come. But like, if you do, then come and get involved."
Yeah, that's great. And that sounds like a stadium rock kind of song.
Yes,
I really like that. Yeah, it's very powerful.
It's very soccer-like.
Yes. Yeah, real catchy. And,
very football-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I saw that part where the faces are like changing to a different person, that reminded me of the Michael Jackson video, Black or White.
Yes. I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's right.
When I was looking at the video, when I was watching the video, I was okay. We have the singer, we have this other singer, but where's Becky? You took like 30 minutes to appear for just like a second.
Yes, yeah. So the band shots were mostly, the performance stuff, and then they got us in, the non-singing band members to do a few things with the camera. But yeah, they wanted me to like shout and scream on demand, and like. I don't know. I'm the kind of person that like, I can shout if I need to, but if it just scream something, I'm just like, oh no, I can't. I can't get it out. So yeah.
Now your upcoming Interceptor tour to promote the album will take you to many places in the UK. Are there any plans to extend this tour to Europe or even to the US with all the difficulties that now we have in the US?
I think Europe for sure. We're playing in April in Roskilde in Denmark, a festival called Epic Festival. And the plan is to try and get a few shows on the way there or on the way back, so to make the best use of our time. So probably coming through Germany and hopefully something in France, Belgium, Netherlands, which is all places we've done before. But, it'd be nice to be able to step those shows up or consolidate them and pick the right kind of shows. So I feel like we'll definitely be back in Europe next year. In terms of America, I'm not too sure. Like the tour I just went on, the artist is at a different kind of level, and the American audience is very ready for her music, and she's got a great following over there. So it managed to work out okay financially. I don't think they actually made any profit really on the tour. So it's really hard to make this kind of thing work, to do America for the first time without some label or financial backing, because we're just with a small label called Mighty Music, and they don't really have the budget to put us on a big support tour or fund us for our first trip over there. I mean, we'd love to do it, and we hope it could be on the cards one day, but it's more likely that we'll be sticking to Europe for the time being.
Okay, so grim news for you, Carlos. Hope for me, at least, to see Fury on stage.
And if anything, we can always take a plane and go to Birmingham or somewhere in Europe to see Fury live.
I've been telling this guy, let's go to Bloodstock someday, because we've covered all the other festivals, but we're missing out on that.
Yeah, Bloodstock is a great festival. Always a good vibe there. The people that attend the festival are so nice, and I've been going to Bloodstock for a long time, and I just think it's great to have a music community, a heavy metal music community in the UK, because mainland Europe is spoiled for choice for so many great festivals out there.
Absolutely.
And we have Bloodstock, and we're holding on to it, and it's really cool.
Awesome, great. Hopefully we can make it there one day.
Let's look for some tickets.
Yeah, Fury have played there like 5 times.
Wow, awesome. That's great. And no conversation can go with Becky Baldwin without mentioning Mercyful Fate and King, the King. How is the band doing?
It's great. So I saw King Diamond a couple of months ago this summer, because he toured Europe and came to the UK. So I got to catch up with him a little bit then. And he's got like some great hopes and ideas for Mercyful Fate. We didn't have that much time to talk about it, but I'm going to be hopefully catching up with him very soon about the plans that are in the works. So things are on a bit of a quiet year for now, while King Diamond is doing a lot of touring and finishing their album. But I'm hopeful the next year will be working towards the new Mercyful Fate album once again.
That's going to be great to see you on a new record with Mercyful Fate. We're waiting for that day to come.
Yes, I'm so excited to be a part of it. It's going to be insane. Like, it's going to be incredible. So, I really hope we get to do that soon.
And now that we're talking about that, I have to ask you a very selfish and personal question, and here it goes. My inner self is still, I'm a very old fart, but my inner self is still 12 years old and lives in a permanent admiration and fascination with heavy metal, with all these bands. This younger version of me wanted to ask you, Becky, how does it feel to become a member of one of the greatest bands in heavy metal history?
It still doesn't feel quite real, even though it's been, 3 years since I first started playing with them almost. So yeah, it doesn't feel very, I don't know, it's hard to put it to words, but yeah, knowing that like a lot of my favorite bands have been inspired by Mercyful Fate. They're also one of my favorite bands growing up, and hearing, musicians I look up to excitedly talking about a band that I play with, and these people have become my friends, and it's so surreal. Still, I can't quite get my head around how it all happened, and I sometimes doubt that it's really true, and I have to remind myself that that really
Somebody
did happen.
me.
Yeah, I'm pinching myself and saying like, yeah, that tour was real, and it wasn't some kind of fluke. It's going to happen again, and you'll see these people again, and they are still your friends. You've got their number in your phone. Just reach out to them whenever you want to say hello. And that is a
They
very
have the
surreal
WhatsApp
feeling.
group.
Yes, the WhatsApp group. It's been quiet for a little while, but we always check in with each other.
Sending memes all day.
That's great. That's a fantastic position you have come with in your career. And I'm absolutely sure that Fury is also a very important part of your career, of your life. And I appreciate the fact that you got into the big league with Mercyful Fate, but you're still with Fury, pumping there and doing everything to make it work, to make the music out, to reach out to more people. So that's something we really admire from here.
Yeah, cool.
Likewise.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Fury is still a small band, still self-managed. So anything I can do to help promote Fury, it's something that I put a lot of years into. So while Mercyful Fate are having a couple of quiet years, then I need to keep myself busy with something. So it's great to be able to work with Fury and keep putting out some albums.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to ask something about the album that just struck me. What's going on with Prince of Darkness? Is it going to be an orphaned song?
Yeah, so that was just a standalone single. So we never really intended it to be on the next album. So that song actually was recorded for the first time it was released for the first time in 2014. So it came out on the Fury's first album, The Lightning Dream. Yeah, so that was when the band was a 4-piece. It had almost a completely different lineup. Only one member is the same. So we did a re-recording of it because, in recent years, live we've had Naya singing it instead of Julian. We played it in a different key. We've got a few different ideas going on. And, that first album, the recording quality wasn't the best. And we thought we could do it again, polish it up.
It's really impressive. I've been listening to it a lot these days, preparing for the interview, of course, but I also enjoy Fury apart from work, from this or fictitious work we do. I enjoy it a lot, and I enjoy the presence of the bass. I don't know if you're a very good friend with the mixing guy or you're giving him a good tip, but it sounds very good.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great
very crisp.
Yeah. Yeah, the bass is coming across strong. So yeah, actually, Prince of Darkness, another reason why we did that, so it was to introduce Naya to the fans and update the recording, and also to test out a new recording engineer and producer. So before the last 3 albums, before Interceptor, we used Pete Newdeck, who made some fantastic sounds for our previous albums, but we wanted to try something a bit different, something with a bit of a harder edge, less like I don't know, like the old producer, very like AOR inspired, like great with vocal harmonies, like and he made that sound like very like sweet, and I love the sound of those albums. But we wanted to try an experiment with a heavier edge, and I think the band has developed more like our vocalists themselves, and we have 2 lead vocalists now, so they had more ideas themselves with the harmony vocals that they feel like they could handle themselves. So we started using a different producer. So we're now working with Todd Campbell, who is a son of Phil Campbell from Motorhead.
Oh, wow.
And so we met Todd touring with Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. And then we were like, oh, your album sounds great. Who recorded you? And he's like, I did. So, so we've been working with him.
Wow.
And recording Prince of Darkness was kind of just testing how that would sound if we liked working with him and if the results were good. And because they were good, we decided to do a full album with Todd.
Okay. Awesome.
But yeah, it was a different set of songs to the Prince of Darkness, which was just a standalone single.
Thank you for sharing all those details. And changing gears a little bit, there's been a lot of talk these days about wages, contracts, and work conditions for session and tourist musicians. What's your viewpoint with this regard?
So I guess you're referring to like Cradle of Filth
we might
drama. maybe. I really admire Zoe and her bravery in talking about it. I think it's so important that we talk about these things, because it's the only way that we can actually, well, obviously it's the only way we can have these conversations and people can figure out, am I being ripped off or am I not? And the fans deserve to know, I think, that like how band members are being treated and how they feel. I think that, like, for some people looking at the rate they're being paid, they'd say, well, that sounds fine, you know, like that's a pretty good rate. And yeah, to some people it is, but to a professional musician who, you know, it's difficult to have another side project if you're exclusive to this band. And the amount of work they have to put in, the fact that they do want to have a normal, comfortable life like any other person, you know, settle into a house, have a family at some point, then the kind of wages they're being offered just isn't good enough. And I can't really speculate too much, but I can't imagine that they've gone straight to here to publicly outing the whole thing. I'm sure there was some conversation before where they asked, I need this, I need that. And I guess they've been backed into a corner in some way and they've had to speak out about it. And, you know, for other musicians, as another musician, I'm really grateful for that conversation to be had. And I think it's a good perspective. And being able to see the evidence, the contract, like that was big balls.
That was shocking.
I was like, oh my God.
That was very shocking, yeah.
Very shocking. But yeah, but like I wish that there could be more transparency in the music industry about how musicians can be exploited and how they can be bullied or, you know, just not treated fairly when there's such a huge power imbalance. And, you know, these musicians don't deserve that kind of thing. Like, they may be not the main draw. There's like obviously a main draw in Cradle of Filth, and everyone wants to see Danny, but we need a full team to make it work. And I really hope that, you know,
it takes a village.
Future musicians that take that role are better respected, and I hope that they respect themselves and make sure they get a better deal. Or, you know, and I hope that the band members that have left have found themselves something better going on, because, you know, it sounds really horrendous, you know, the implications with her health. It's just not worth it. Like, that's your one life you get to live, and to spend it like in a state of stress where you can't really live your life fully, then you've got to figure out what you want to do. And you know, it's refreshing to hear from someone who had the guts to make a stand and really say something and make everyone know exactly what's going on. So I'll be really interested to hear the perspective from the management, because we haven't really heard. They said that they're going to make a statement, but I haven't.
Yeah, so far at the moment of this recording, we only have like the main stuff.
Yeah, and it's got a lot to defend, really. Right, and it's that's the dark side of the business, because at the end of the day, music, it's a business. People do it because they want to express art, but they also need to live and pay bills. So
support that
there
art.
has to be a retribution. So it's sad to see those things happening, and it's also even more concerning that a lot of situations like this may happen more often than we think, but since nobody is allowed to talk about it, we don't even know. That is very concerning, and as much as I love heavy metal and all this music, we wish for a better environment for everyone involved, because if there is like a very stressful and a very, I don't know, diminishing environment around the musicians, then
art won't flourish in that environment.
It's not possible to do it.
It's like the music business, and it has to be business, and you know, in any kind of business, there's people being stepped on so other people can make more money. There's always a consolidation of power, and money and power that always just goes upwards. But that's not how we feel when we listen to music, and we really. And when you're creating music, when you first get into it and start feeling inspired by it, you just hope that you watch these bands and you think, oh, that must be the best time ever. You get to hang out together and do something you love. It must be perfect, and you expect that to be the case, and it's often not. And it's sad because metalheads, we kind of pride ourselves in being actually not as much of assholes as we look at, might come across,
let's say.
Yeah, we might come across a bit scary, but actually we're not. And then things like this kind of ruin the reputation.
Of course.
But I guess it's the same in any other genre too.
Yeah. And Becky, let's not end the conversation with a sad note. So we would like to wrap up this chat by asking, can you share with us one of your favorite backstage stories?
Backstage stories. Okay. One of them recently in my mind, it was one of the Mexican shows, and I think Hell and Heaven Festival, and Anthrax were in one of the other rooms, and Frank Bello just kind of wandered into our dressing room like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And yeah, he was like, "Hey, cool bass, like Becky, good to meet you." And he had to go on my Rickenbacker. Unfortunately, he didn't have very much time to hang out because he was about to go on stage and we were playing just after them. But he came in and played my Rickenbacker. Actually, it was this one, and I was just.
I'm sure you get that a lot about your basses.
Yeah, people are always interested in playing them, and I'm always very happy to let them try it out. So, but I guess because I haven't done many festivals with Mercyful Fate, only 3 I think I've done with them. So in terms of other bands being around, it's not been as common. It's usually the touring band and the touring supports. So I know I was very starstruck at the time, and he tried my bass, and actually I've recently got one of his basses, the.
Oh, look at that!
That he played at the show in Cardiff a couple of weeks ago? Time has gone too quickly. It's been about a couple of months, I think. So
I didn't want it to be left behind with the bass talk. I got mine also over here. Nothing fancy.
Oh, yeah.
It serves its purpose, though.
Awesome.
Great. That's a great story.
Yeah, I'm sure there are more. I was just thinking about Frank Bello stuff because this is the first time today that I've actually got to sit down and spend some time with the bass because I've been away for a month, so I didn't bring that one with me. So today I've just been playing Frank Bello bass lines and trying out his signature bass.
Great.
Nice.
Well, Becky, thank you very much for your time. We're going to leave you to practice on your bass and enjoy. To the audience, if you like this interview, please like it, share it with your friends. Make sure to buy and stream Interceptor, which is coming out September 5th, 2025, to double support Becky and Fury, of course. Becky, it's been a pleasure. Hope to meet you on the road.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And yeah, hopefully see you in New York or Madrid. Hopefully we'll be on tour soon.
Or Bloodstock.
Yes.
Bloodstock, yes. Yeah. I'll see you there.
See you next time, guys.
Absolutely.
But until then, stay metal.
Stay metal.
Stay metal.
Yeah.